Welcome to Soulful Latte podcast, a weekly conversation between two sisters to help us and our virtual friends online, like yourselves, grow in life and in faith. We're your hosts. I am Qudsiyah.
And I am Samia. Welcome to episode 1. For this episode, we thought to begin by introducing ourselves so that you can get to know a little bit more about us, recognize our voices. We also want to share our purpose and why we did this podcast. And so we're looking forward to having you on board. And I think in the beginning, it will be really helpful for us to just introduce ourselves. Who are we? So I am Samia Ali. I am 31 years old, and I currently live in the desert southwest in the United States. And what about you, Qudsiyah? I still don't know your age.
Okay, Samia, get ready. Okay, I'm Qudsiyah. I live in the UK and I am 25 years old. Dun dun dun.
You know, before we started recording this, I thought I said maximum 20, minimum 28. So I am very impressed, mashallah.
Are you shocked?
I am a little bit, yes. Only because the way that we speak, it just seemed like you were older, which means that you're more mature in the way you speak.
Oh,
I say
you're
that's a
too
good thing.
kind. Samia.
No. So Qudsiyah, so let's start with give me some 3 facts about yourself.
Okay.
Something weird, something interesting, whatever you want to share.
Okay. Something weird. Well, it's not weird to me, but I know it's weird to some people. But I like my ready salted crisps with ketchup. I don't eat them alone, I eat them with ketchup. And they taste amazing.
So does it have to be salted chips, or could you have low salt chips, or it has to be
Oh
a
no,
specific
it
kind
doesn't
of?
have to be anything. It just has to be plain chips, so not flavored in any way, just plain,
Yeah.
salted or unsalted, but with ketchup.
And how do you do it? Do you have a bag of chips and you have
Oh
ketchup
no,
on the
no.
side, or do you put
Oh
ketchup
yeah.
on the bag of
Basically,
chips?
what happens is basically what happens is the packet of crisps goes in a bowl, and then there's ketchup drizzled all over it. One day maybe we can get together, and then I can show you, and then you can tell me what it's like.
It sounds pretty interesting. So do you eat ketchup with
No,
everything, or do you only like
I
ketchup with
eat
it?
ketchup
No.
with chips
Okay,
and
okay.
with crisps. I think my Tanzanians will get this because I'm originally from Tanzania, so people might relate to this if they're from Tanzania. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let us know though.
Well, I think my weird fact, like you said, some people find it weird, but for you that works. I think it's similar to me because my husband is the only one who's close enough to tell me that it's weird. And that is because I like to compartmentalize everything. I like to have everything in its own place. And if it's not in its own place, then it has to find its way. And so the whole process of it finding its way can be a very long, drawn out process. So if I bring something home and it's just sitting around because I haven't decided which drawer to put it in or which cabinet it goes in, and that item will sit there until I know where to put it. And it will stay there for a long time to the point when my husband is like, this is enough. You need to move this or I'm going to throw this away. So we have this conversation. And I thought that was something, I always thought it was a little bit weird, but I didn't know how weird it was until my sister recently came over and told me that it's very weird.
So
I thought it was a family
do
thing.
you have a corner where you have all of this stuff that still needs spacing?
Okay, let me clarify. It's not a lot of things because I don't like clutter. Yeah, I don't like clutter, but it's one thing which I would get. I just haven't figured it out yet.
Okay, that's manageable.
And so there's not.
That's
Yeah.
manageable.
Oh yeah, it's not like a mountain of things. That would be awful. Yes.
What was the second thing? Something interesting or just something. Okay. So basically, I'm a very big lover of stories and journeys, and I am just really obsessed with everyone's journey. And whenever I see an old person anywhere, on the road, drinking tea in their house, for example, in the cafe, all I want to do is just go up to them and just sit with them and let them tell me their whole life story. That's something I always want to do. Whenever I see an old couple, I just want them to impart their wisdom onto me, basically. So that's something I'm always doing, but I haven't actually managed to do it yet in person. But yeah.
Oh, so that's one of
That's
your dreams. You would
yes,
like to sit with old
yes.
people and learn. So you like to hear the stories because you get lessons from it, or just only like a part of it is because you find it
I
really
think both. I
fascinating?
find it really interesting, and I also feel like if they're 8 years old, they've seen so much that I've not seen, and I feel like those years will carry so many gems within them. I know when my grandmother was alive, she was a gem of a person. And one thing I used to do with her was just sit with her and ask her like all these questions about when she used to go to school, how it was, how it was like in her marriage when she first got married, because she got married at the age of 13, I think. And she was basically a child. And my grandfather passed away quite recent into the marriage, like maybe a few years. Um, so she's lived like 30 or so years alone, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, like, yeah. But yeah, that's what I used to do. And when Skype came along, and she was so surprised, like, oh, you can see another person through a screen? Like, how? Because they would have to travel all the way to another country to see someone. But
Exactly.
like she was very adapting and very just embracing of things that were good. So she was like the role model of an old person that I would want to be.
You
Definitely.
never know. You might be. You might be just like her.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Inshallah.
She was too great. Inshallah.
So while we're talking about the older people, one of the things that um, I enjoy dreaming a lot. So I plan for things that may or may not happen, and I'm like, what if they do happen? And so one of my dreams I have is being that old person who is not bitter,
Mm.
who's like a smiley
Yes.
person and has like a little yard in the back and like living in a very green, lush area with little chickens running around and little garden bed where I grow my own vegetables and then like teach other people how the pesticides are the most evil things on the planet. And they're like, we don't need to know it, but I'm like, I must share with you this wisdom
Sounds like
before
the
I
dream.
die. It does. Little community feel. And that's one of my weird things is that I dream a lot. And this is one of my dreams.
Yeah. You know what? That sounds like the absolute dream, because I dream about having my own garden, growing my own little vegetables. Oh, that's the dream. That is the dream. Inshallah, that is the dream. What is the third thing? What is the third question?
Your third fact. So I think we shared two facts so far.
Yeah. Okay.
So what is your
I
third
see.
fact?
Okay. Um, this one is food related, and I'm not a big fan of jackfruit. That is my third fact. I like everything
Isn't
else
that
but jackfruit.
isn't that really big in like a Malaysian culture or something? Like I followed these people on Instagram. I forgot their names, and it was like a eat time, and that's all they did was sit around a table with their family with like bowls of jackfruit or like the whole fruit, and they would just eat it.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this magical
Oh,
thing? I thought
durian.
durian was a
Oh,
smelly
yes, it
one.
is. Oh, durian's
So
very
jackfruit,
smelly. And
I
then it
see. So this
tastes
is a
really good.
jackfruit smell. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I don't know if maybe I should try it again. I haven't for years. Like I haven't had
You
jackfruit
were
for years.
traumatized.
Yes, I think so. I think it might be just in my head.
Over here, they do sell it sometimes, but I only got one sample and I actually really liked it.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I should try it
there
again,
was
I
no
think.
smell.
Or it's very distinct, but
But it's
I should
okay.
try
We can accept your hatred for jackfruit. I
Oh
don't think
no,
that's
hatred
problematic
is
at all.
so strong of a word, but
Well, for me, the third thing is a little bit different as well. I didn't. It's not food related, although it could be because I am kind of obsessed with Korean dramas.
hmm.
I'm originally from Pakistan, and I don't really care for Pakistani dramas. I care a lot for Korean dramas, and that actually got me involved in Korean food because I would see them cooking and eating in it, and I'm like, that looks so delicious. And I finally got this book, and I'm like, I need to do it. And so this Korean drama plus food thing sometimes goes together. Especially, I just really want noodles when I watch Korean dramas. One of those things. I just crave noodles. So clearly, I have a strange obsession with Korean dramas and food. especially together. I think we could end up talking a lot about weird things because I'm sure we're full of them. But let's move to the next part of this podcast where you have a question, Kutsia.
Okay. So Samia, what is something in your life right now? It could be faith or just in general that you're focusing on and trying to get better at.
So you said faith and or something else? Okay.
Faith, it could be
Um,
faith. You could pick like
hmm.
faith or general.
Well, for me at this point, well, there are a couple of things I am working on in life in general. One of the things is that I really want to become a more productive member of the society, because right now I am, a wife, and I don't really do like I don't have a job, I don't have anything like that specifically outside, and I don't have children either. So at this point, I feel like my brain is being wasted away. So I want to do something in which I am benefiting the community in some way. So that's something that I am currently actively working on in life in general. And but faith-wise, though, I think that is really important to me because the way I grew up, we didn't really grow up generally in a very faith-based, like Islam wasn't the topmost thing. I mean, it was practiced in a way that is generally practiced by everyone. It wasn't loved and cherished like I would like for myself to do. And so recently, I want to incorporate, and one of the ways that I see to do that is to incorporate the Sunnah more, to do what the Prophet ﷺ did and how he talked and how he dressed, what he ate, how he dealt with people. All of those things is like such an integral part of our faith, and I feel that I need to incorporate it more to get that beauty which I think I'm missing. When I see someone like a scholar or someone who I really admire and who are really up there, as far as my, more than me at least, I see the character is very beautiful and I know they're emulating a part of the Prophet ﷺ. So that's something that I want to do. I want to incorporate Sunnah more so that I can have that beauty and be like, I'll radiate with it.
Yeah, that is
Basically.
beautiful because that's
Thank
so
you.
inspirational. Because inshallah we can all strive to do the same because he is the one that's the perfect role model.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you have yourself something that you're working on and to grow in and to get better
Yeah.
in?
Actually, it's quite similar to yours in that I'm really trying to further my relationship with the Quran and the Prophet. So to learn about really how he dealt with situations and to learn about everything that he stood for, and also to make the Quran a big part of my life in a way that's active and where I can understand. And really, I would love to have verses memorized as well that I can refer to. Additionally, right now at this point in life, at this point in time, I'm actually really just trying to nourish myself and taking time out and really minimizing the noise from outside. I pick verses and I write them down, or I make a poster on them and try to look at them all the time so that I do memorize them.
That sounds like a
Yeah,
wonderful.
I've got a long way to go.
Yeah, but that sounds like you're, like really putting an effort to pursue that, and that's wonderful. Writing
Inshallah, I
writing
am.
Quranic Arabic is one thing entirely. That's just fantastic. And so you said that you're sitting down and you're taking a break, and I know we've talked a little bit about it, but I don't really know a lot because that's how we met on Instagram was through your account, The Visual Age, and I always wondered why this name, Visual Age. What this is so different, and it stuck out, and I wanted to know how did you come about that
It's actually
name?
a really funny story. It's a very funny story. So, the visual age basically started after I finished my university studies. I was making doodle notes, so like really rough sketches on lectures that I was listening to, just to like mind maps and kind of draw a road, just summarize the points basically. And after I showed it to my aunt and my mom and other family and friends, it was so encouraging because they said it really helped them get the gist of the lecture in just one page. And so the visual age started with infographics, which is everything self-development based. And I would listen to lectures, podcasts, read articles, books, and then make doodle notes on paper. And then after all of the support that I got from family and friends, I decided to make it digital. And that's often what you see on my page, and that's how it started. So that is essentially where it came from. And so this is how the name came about, right? Um, I used to live with my brother. So one day I said, you know what? I have this ache of sharing all of this graphic with people. Like we can all benefit together. And there was so much material as well. So I made a Facebook page, like, what do I call it? What do I call it? So I went to my brother the moment he came back from work and said, okay, so what would you call something that wants like people to learn, and then they're going to also do visual material, and it's going to be self-betterment material. And he was like, the visual age. And I was like, okay, that's it. And then I just went and I made my Facebook page and I made a random logo and I just put it up, and that's how it started basically.
The name was picked so randomly, and it's like a perfect name.
Exactly. And I was like, that is it.
No more doodling necessary on it.
And then since then, it's just, yeah, he started with infographics. Alhamdulillah, it's grown into a lot of things since then.
Yes, that's actually one of the things I wanted to ask you, is that now you have things that hang on the wall and you do like items, that very tangible things now. And I wanted to know, like, where does your inspiration for that come from? Because they're very, I mean, if you guys were to go and check out those items, like those really beautiful stuff, really modern looking designs that you can hang on the wall. That's something I really remember right now because that just stuck out to me. But I know you have some like canvases and things like that as well. So for those things, where does your inspiration come from?
I think for me, it's always been about putting out what I wish existed. And that is how I started my Etsy store as well. It's because I'm very big on prayer gifts and gifts that remind me to be better, to cultivate more faith in my life, to cultivate more remembrance in my life. And that's the kind of things that I gift people. And prior to this, actually, I've made a lot of handmade gifts for my friends where I would write on the same like wooden plaque, I would write a verse of the Quran or a reminder or like a jar of inspirational messages. It's always something that I had been doing already for my friends. It just started as an experiment because I loved the idea of putting out what I wish existed. And that's how I started. It wasn't very good in the beginning, as all things are. And it's so interesting to see the journey. If you saw my items from the beginning, my family was amazing. Honestly, they bought items. My family like was the first, I think, batch of people that bought my items. And now when I look back, I just want to send them a whole huge package of all these other things and say, you really supported me, but I don't even think my items were good enough. Like, yeah, but that's where it started, basically.
And for me, it's actually, I wasn't really involved. It was not until I joined Instagram that I saw this world of Muslim, well, the people I follow are generally women who have these businesses and they're creating either, not only for other purposes, specifically for decoration and for household things as reminders. And I'm like, this whole world I was completely not in touch with. I'm not sure if it's more common in the UK, but over here I felt I did not have that exposure. But maybe it's because the times have changed and now I live in a smaller community. I'm not sure. But it was wonderful. And recently, well, not recently, but I went to this Christian store and they had all the Christian stuff. And I talked to the lady at the counter and I was like, it is so wonderful to see the word God written, and just like as part of your life.
Yeah.
And that's something that is so missing from our culture. And so your shop, including all the other Muslim ladies who are doing this, I think it's wonderful. I love it so much.
Alhamdulillah. There's quite a few ladies doing them as well.
Truly.
And it's so nice to just see that community because I think that's where it is. It's online. if you're not online, then I guess you miss it, because I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely. It's only when I got into Instagram and actually even was active on it, I found out about all these other ladies that were doing the same. And it's just so nice. It's so nice to just support one another. I, re- I love it when we just support one another and build each other up. So, what about you? I love the name Sunnah Living. I feel like it's so all encompassing. And it's just perfect. It's just the perfect way of life, basically. And oh, it's just the perfect life. I feel
Right?
like
It is a
live the
perfect way.
Sunnah way. It's just
Right.
perfect. And I remember when I saw your page, I don't remember, but it was basically just reaching out to say that I'm so happy you're on Instagram because I love your page, and because everything you were posting was so relatable, and it was spiritual as well as ethical, and talking about morality as well, and our, like, how we do justice to everything that is in front of us, and living more ethical lives and sustainable lives. And I love that. I love that.
Actually, Instagram for me was a huge thing because when I moved, after I got married, I moved to this small place where I live right now, and it felt so alone there. And I was like, I think I need something more. If I cannot find it here in person, let me just go. And it was about 2 years ago, I think, that I just posted a picture because I love stationery and I can spend forever in a stationery store. And I just put like a picture together of, like, I don't know, markers and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to have a little simple account, no big deal. And it just kind of grew from there. I didn't realize how
Yes.
many people love stationery. And then at that time, I was taking Quran intensive and I started sharing Islamic stuff on there. And so that was a new thing. And people were like interested. And I was like, what is this? Like, oh, there's so more people who like Islamic stuff, like it was such a slow start. And when I was thinking of the business name, my sister was helping me, design the website and everything. And she was like, Samia, you need to pick a name, come up with something. And I was like, well, like, it was about the life and it was about living Islamic life. And to me, Sunnah is a part of it. It is about me. It is about my personal growth. And so one of the taglines that I have on there is living simply, grow spiritually. So it's that idea of this is about me and I'm learning and I'm growing. And at the same time, I'm sharing that on that platform. And so I really like how we met through that similar journey of growth. And as I'm learning about, sustainability and really getting into the zero waste lifestyle and really trying to understand what that is all about. And so I think that is a lot of a journey of my experience with the Sunnah life, which is a lot more than just waking up and doing adhkar, which is obviously a part of it. But this is about your everyday decisions, when you're talking to people, when I'm dealing with my personal issues, when I'm opening the door and I'm choosing where to buy my clothes from, just, everything that I'm touching, either with words or with actions, this is all part of a sunnah life.
Alhamdulillah. I hope that it's just such a good source of comfort for you and growth as well for you. I think it's really special when we share. I find it special anyway. I love it when people share their journey of growth. And that is exactly the point of the visual age as well, where we grow together. Because in this life, I'm quite personally very interested in other people's growth journeys as well. Like, let's talk about it, let's inspire one another, let's learn from one another. Let's like hold hands and soar together. And I think that's what the visual age also stands for, is the same, like, let's share our journeys and grow together, kind of thing, towards something that's important. And I'm so glad that we just connected. I'm just so happy.
That's what I wanted to say. It seems that that thirst and that vision that you have for visual growth was the way that you were thinking about the podcast. And then you just sent me a random message that one day, let's do a podcast together. And I think that's what it's all about. It's about growing together through this platform now where we're reaching, you audience, you guys who are listening, we're reaching you. And I know we have a list of topics and I'm really excited to talk to them with you because our commonality, I think, is going to create this environment and space where I feel that anyone who's listening in can be like, oh, look, I belong here too. We're all going towards the goal of let's become better than we were yesterday.
If you enjoyed this episode and look forward to following us on our journey, we would really love to hear from you. You can find us online at Soulful Latte Podcast on Instagram, or you can also write to us at soulfullattepodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, keep growing.